Hey, Omar again with Chicago Cycling Network. And today I'm on location, as you guys can see in the background. I'm at Green Bay Cycle. How did I get to this place? I got here because one day I had some questions about building bikes and I didn't know what I was doing. And I find a shop that was close by because it's close to my work. Made a phone call. I came in and he had all the questions. I had all the answers to my questions. I mean, he's like the oracle of bikes. So because of that, after getting to know him, I actually call him Uncle Larry, which most of you guys will probably know and have come to his shop to get something taken care of. So I'm so happy to be here again. And again, thanks everybody who've been subscribing, being supporting the channel, and thanks, with what you guys are doing and helping out. I can bring more content and highlight people in the 606 Chicago area, Chicago and beyond land that makes cycling exciting. They've been fixing their bikes for years and we want to highlight them. And hey, we really appreciate you and keep on doing what you're doing. Again, we're just really happy to be here. And again, just keep the miles and smiles going. And again, as we go, we'll get to learn more about Larry. And you guys have passed him several times here and you'll know exactly where the shop is because there's several cues that let you know where the shop is located. So Larry, thanks again for taking time to talk to me.
Thanks for being here.
Introduce yourself and let us know who you are.
I'm Larry Faulkner. I've been in the bike business now about 27, 28 years. I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas, and that kind of started my passion for bicycles. As a kid, like most people back in the late 60s, early 70s, I had a single speed banana seat bike, and that thing was my life for many years. We would take off as soon as we got up and finished watching cartoons and had a bowl of cereal. In the summertime, I would be gone on my bike. We would take rides 20 miles out, 20 miles back, all of this on a single speed coaster brake.
And no cell phones.
And no cell phones. And a parent who had no clue where we were. Video games didn't exist then. And I got into working on bikes because, quite frankly, I had a family that was not well off. And if I broke my bike, if I didn't fix it, I didn't have a bike. And so that started me on a journey. And I grew up as a tinkerer. Eventually, I joined the Navy at 17 years old. Back then, they would take you at 17. And I was trained as an aircraft mechanic. I also was an air crewman, so I flew in the back of the plane originally as a loadmaster, and then I became a flight engineer on C-130s. The entire 20 years, I was also, the way the Navy operates, you're an air crewman, but you're also a mechanic, so when you're not in the airplane flying, you're fixing them.
Wow.
So I did that for 20 years, including deployments to Antarctica with C-130s with snow skis on them, that kind of stuff, crazy things. But when it came time to look at retiring from the military, my wife asked me, what do you want to do? And I said, I want a job where I can do something fun, something I enjoy. I could take my dog to work and I don't have to wear a uniform. And she laughed at me. What I did, I started working part-time at a shop while I was still on active duty. On the base I was doing tune-ups and basically running a bike shop out of my garage.
That's interesting.
One of my last tours, and doing tune-ups for people on the base and making a little bit of extra money. But it gave me a lot of experience. A lot of it, you just learn on your own. And if you're mechanical minded, bikes are a fairly simple machine. But I started working part-time as a mechanic at a shop. And
what shop was that? You remember the name of the shop?
Yep, that was Alberto's. Started there in 97.
And this was in Fort Worth, or?
No, that was here. Here in there. At that time, the shop was in Winnetka. Had been around since probably late 70s, early 80s. Worked there for 4 or 5 years, then went to Higher Gear and managed their store in Wilmette for a few years. And then some tragic things happened with that store. I don't even want to get into that, but it made me realize that it was time to go out and do things on my own. We opened this store in December of 2010. Started with a fairly shoestring budget. At the time, I had a business partner, and we pulled our money together and started with, like I said, for starting a business, a fairly shoestring budget, and just grew the store organically. Later on, we kind of had different views on how things should be done, and we decided to kind of separate and go our separate ways. I kept the store, and my wife at that time was working part-time here to help us out. After that happened, within a year, we figured out how to get her here full-time as well.
That's great.
So at this point, it's a family-run operation. We have a fairly small staff. Everyone that's on our staff here has been in some sort of mechanic trade, most of them with close to 20 years experience.
That's a long time. Yeah.
We have very friendly. One of the things that I was asked when I first opened the store was, what are you going to do differently? There's a lot of bike shops around. And my philosophy from the get-go was treat customers the way I want to be treated when I go into a business.
Which is so important, because a good friend of mine said that's a question I should ask you. Like, how do you survive for so long?
Yeah.
And
it's treat your customers the way you want to be treated. And if you do that, I try to avoid saying no to customers. There's times that you just have to. There's some requests that I just can't honor. But I try my best to never say no to a customer. If there's something that needs to be done or they need something special, I try to find any way I can to work it out and make sure that they're happy when they walk out the door.
That's why I'm here, because when I walked in with my crazy questions about brake calipers and stuff, you never said no. You're like, oh, let me see it. You took it in my hand and started looking at him like, okay, this guy, I like that.
We can always figure something out. Takes a little ingenuity sometimes, but very few things can't be repaired or fixed. We have a pretty good selection of products here. I tend to stay with companies. If it's not something I would personally buy, I typically won't stock it.
I like that.
Everything in my store I can recommend highly, because I have dealt with the company. I also make sure that I deal with companies that treat me well, and we have a good relationship, so that if there's problems and I need to go to bat with a manufacturer for a customer, I have the ability to do that and generally come up with a satisfactory outcome. That's pretty much it. As far as brands, Giant has been in my store from day one. Giant's a seriously underrated brand. They have something for everybody. They're the largest bike manufacturer in the world.
No, I did not know that.
Fun
fact.
They produce bikes on a contract basis for many other companies. I won't name those companies, but many other companies that people are well aware of. Giant also tends to have, in my experience, I've sold most of the top brands out there over the years, whether it was here or at other shops. And as far as I'm concerned, Giant has the best customer service of any vendor I've ever dealt with. I like them. They treat me well. They are loyal to my business. Therefore, I'm loyal to them.
I like that.
We also carry bikes from Otso. They do mainly off-road type bikes. They do gravel, fat bikes, and mountain bikes. They're a smaller U.S.-based company out of suburbs of Minneapolis. They are part of Wolf Tooth Components. It's when Wolf Tooth decided they wanted to have their own bike brand, they started Otso. I have been one of their dealers pretty much from the beginning. And once again, a very good company, a small company that gives you really good personalized customer service. And if you haven't caught on, that's my thing, it's customer service. The other brands I carry Gazelle e-bikes. We do stock a line of e-bikes. I carry e-bikes from both Giant and Gazelle. I stick with those because I believe they offer the best quality in e-bikes. Gazelle company's been in business I think, close to 140 years. The
Yeah.
bikes are still made in the original factory in Holland. They use all Bosch components, which are the top of the line components when it comes to e-bikes. And then I also carry the Giant e-bikes, and the Giant e-bikes use a Yamaha motor with Giant's designed electronics. So there's a collaboration with Giant and Yamaha. Those are two of the best setups on the market for e-bikes. They're completely serviceable. They have good diagnostic equipment so that we can troubleshoot it and make the things work the way they're supposed to work. Other brands I carry, I'm also a Moots dealer. Moots does custom titanium. They also came out with an e-bike about a year ago that's really nice. It's a little pricey, but it's a really nice e-bike. I do have that in stock. We also carry Linus for kind of the retro cruiser city bikes. I also carry Woom, which is a very high-end, very nice children's bike. And that's kind of the bike lines. And like I said, I've pared my brand offerings down to the companies that offer the best customer service, not just to me, but to the end user.
Okay, which is again is very important. You touch on a lot of things, and I was just like listening to you, just like rattling off these things. But again, it boiled down to his customer service. So how is the like the e-bike industry coming along now? Like, is a big upcoming area? Because I know, again, we talk about this in the biking a lot.
Yeah.
Some of us are getting older. We want to keep up with younger kids. How is that? How are you thinking?
E-bikes, amongst some people, it's controversial. Some people look at it as cheating. My opinion on e-bikes is most of my customers who are buying them to replace their car for shorter trips, commutes. You commute to work, you have it on your bike, you have a terrible day, and now you've got to fight a headwind riding home. If you're commuting on the e-bike, it cuts the time a little bit. It still gets your legs moving. Every e-bike I sell is pedal assist, meaning there is no throttle. You have to be pedaling for that motor to work. It just makes you much stronger than you would be otherwise. And I'm finding that in most cases, that is the customer that's buying it. I've had guys that are avid road cyclists. They're out riding with their groups every Saturday, Sunday morning, and they've bought e-bikes strictly to replace their car. They do their hard ride on Saturday morning. Their legs are cashed, and they've got to run errands around town on Saturday afternoon. They don't want to get in their car. They love being outdoors on a bike. And an e-bike's a good solution for that. It lets them replace the car, yet they're still on two wheels.
Do you have you mentioned there's a titanium e-bike. I've never heard about that before.
No, Moots does titanium, but their e-bike is carbon fiber. Sorry, I didn't specify that.
Gotcha.
It's carbon fiber. It uses a Shimano drive system, which is also very good. And it's really a cool e-bike. It's about 34 pounds. And it's a class 3 e-bike, so it'll hit 28 miles an hour. And for somebody who would normally average maybe 20 miles an hour, 18 to 20 miles an hour, to then be able to put that same effort in and do 28 miles an hour, great. But that's when we get into the arguments. Is it cheating or not? I don't know. For the right person, it really solves a lot of problems.
Right. If you're using an e-bike to get somebody's calm or QM, I think it's fine. It's hang out with the people,
those people shouldn't be out on Strava, but that's neither here nor there. That's up to those individuals. They do what they want to do. But the bikes, a lot of times, also for people who may have some sort of health issue, things like that. The e-bike lets them get out, enjoy the outdoors, do it on two wheels. And e-bike sales have steadily increased. What I see is number of bikes represents about 10% of what I sell.
Okay.
So it's not a huge percentage. But they do move. They are fun to ride. I own one myself.
That's your weekend errands or during the week?
Yeah, or commuting to work when it's nicer weather in the summertime.
How far are you from the shop?
I'm only 5 miles away, so it's very simple, easy. I don't get to work sweaty, but I also don't have to drive my car. And so that works out. As far as my personal bikes right now, I have an Otso titanium fat bike. I have a giant carbon gravel bike. Road bikes, I sold my last road bike, and quite frankly, I'm very happy on my gravel bike.
So you do lots of DPRT?
Mostly Green Bay Trail. I'll go up to Lake Bluff, Great Lakes Navy Base, turn around, come back. In this business, it's tough to find times to ride. The end of the day here in the summertime, anybody who's familiar with bike shops, we're sitting around throwing spitballs at each other in the wintertime. And in the summertime, you're running 100 miles an hour with your hair on fire.
Yeah. Because I was going to ask about that, because here in Illinois, where we have like a long winter and then summertime, I know most times in the wintertime we're in Zwift, there's a lot of bike repair, people stay indoors.
Yep.
So how do you find a balance between summer versus when business are fast, business slow?
I keep track of projects that need to happen, painting, rearranging the store, doing repairs around the shop. Those things are generally put off until winter when we have the time to actually focus on that. And every bike shop owner in the Chicago area, just like me, you have to plan for that downtime, which means it takes some budgeting and some prior planning to make sure that you are covered and can get through the winter. I personally try to keep all of my employees are employed through the winter. And in the bike industry, finding mechanics to work full time in the bike business is difficult. It's probably one of the biggest challenges in running a bike shop is having good staff. So I make sure that mine are I support them through the year, and that way I've got them here when I need them.
Yeah, I mean, I like the family aspect of things because I can feel it. You mentioned your wife here, and mentioning you mentioned your name, but Pam. Whenever I walk in and she say hi Omar, she know exactly. When I call on the phone, she know exactly my voice. She's like hi Omar, and she's like we started talking. So I like that feeling.
We try to do that as much as we can. I will tell you that I am probably one of the most terrible people on names, but I can always put a face with a bicycle. I've had customers come in that I worked on their bike at another shop 20 years ago, and I go, "Oh, you've got that pink and black Trek," and I get the big eye, and they're like, "How in the heck do you remember that?" And it's just the way I'm wired. I'm more of a mechanical person. I've never been that guy that can remember every name.
But
I've gotten better at it. I've gotten better at it. That's a skill that you have to teach
most
yourself.
times when you interact with somebody, then you get the name, because I guarantee you'll never forget my name, because I've been there so many times. I've called before and I have all this, hey, do you have these little spare parts that I can't find nowhere else? So you're like, maybe not. And I come in and you always help me out.
We'll find it.
You'll find it.
So yeah, that's pretty much the store. I do love the bike business. It can be very challenging at times, but it's very rewarding. I got to tell you, one of the biggest joys I have is seeing kids come in and getting a new bike and the excitement
that they have
on their face.
Priceless.
That is probably, for me, is one of the most rewarding parts. Sure, I love supporting everybody, but the one that really makes me smile is when I get kids in that are happy and excited about their new bike, because I remember what I was like at that age. And it's just something that, to me, brings back those memories, and I find it to be very fulfilling. I've seen kids who came in and got a first bike when they were 4 years old, and now they're finishing college, and they come back and a lot of them are still avid cyclists.
Yeah.
Whether it's hardcore or just out every weekend going for an hour ride. They all, if you start them out right, it becomes a lifelong.
I started biking late because I didn't have the means. I didn't know anything about biking. But again, I came from running and I moved to Chicago. Like, you know what? I want to find something new to do. Yeah. And I find cycling. I find Cortado. Mm-hmm. And I think, as you mentioned before, Cortado, I think, came out of High Gear, because those guys were at High Gear. And when things tanked, they decided, we want to keep on biking. And they came up with Cortado. And then here these guys know I bike with Plaza Riders, some of those
Mhm.
guys, Scott.
I know plenty of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of those guys. So it's amazing how, again, cycling can bring people together too. It's
Sure.
like you see people grow from kids to adults and people from all over the place. Like I'm from Jamaica. I bike with friends who are from Russia, from Germany, from from all the different places in the Caribbean,
Sure.
South America. Here we are. You were in Fort Worth, and here we are again. Because when I mentioned you're in Fort Worth, I'm like, wait a minute. I went to school in Dallas. I was I was there for like
Yeah.
9 years in Dallas.
Well, I joined the military. I met my wife in the Navy. My wife was also in the Navy. We actually met on the flight deck of an aircraft carrier, but that's another story.
Were you fixing her bike or something?
No. I was actually, at that time, I was flying as a crewman. We would take mail and people out to carriers and then take them back to the shore. And they brought her out to the aircraft, and I'm out there with my survival vest on, the helmet, visor pulled down. And they said, our lieutenant's going back with you. Take care of her.
You
I
did.
did. We've been married. We've now been married 32 years. So that was a good experience. And my wife is very passionate about cycling. She leads
I can tell.
She has a women's group ride that leaves here on Thursday evenings.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, we have a ladies only group ride, and then she also.
What time on Thursday?
Generally, I believe they push off at 6.
Okay,
but
good
she'll
to know.
change that. The best thing to do if you're interested in that, call the shop, ask for Pam, and she will get you added to her contact list and keep you informed on it. And they have all ability levels. There's a core group of about 8 or 9 ladies that show up every week. And they have a great time together.
Yeah, so now I know, because again, I've been trying to, see more females on the road, and where can I see them? Because most times on my bike, most of the guys are the more kind of elite guys, but I really want to see other groups, and hopefully we can explore someone's group, because again, this is what make cycling in this area so amazing. It's an amazing network. We have female group, fast group, coffee group, whatever, any place you want. It's all here. And as I also mentioned before, that there's a website called ChicagoGroupRides.com where they list all of the rides in Chicago.
Cool.
So if she could maybe add it to, so people could know that, hey, this is actually in the network, and it's one of the old point I want to highlight, that, hey, there's all these amazing things in the network. So I will maybe touch base a little later and get your name added to this, because I know people are visiting from out of town. People are in this area, don't even know that it exists until now. I didn't know that. So that's something we can work out.
And cyclists come in all shapes and sizes. We try to carry things to meet everyone's needs, but they also come in different attitudes.
I can imagine.
There are people who enjoy getting on their bike, riding solo. It gives them time to think, clear their head, work out whatever life problems they have. And then there's other people.
I'm one of them.
There's other people who really enjoy and focus on the groups. I tend to enjoy that solo ride. But there's all types. We come in all shapes and sizes, colors, ethnicities. I see it all. And, there's something for everybody out there. If you have a desire to get on a bike and ride on 2 wheels, we can accommodate that.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. I'm a mix of all those things. Like some days I would be by myself. Other days I know I'm going to go to like the car harder and destroy myself. And then other days like coffee pace is just easy chill. I won't get triggered today. And so that's pretty amazing. So for you guys who don't know where Green Bay Cycle is, it is really simple. Okay. For all you hardcore riders and com seekers, the Green Bay Cycle is basically just a little bit south at the end of the Judson Sprint, right by Scott. Okay. And in the evenings, we know exactly where it is, because when we come through Winnetka, there's a smell of pizza. We always have that smell in our nose coming down.
Domino's puts out some good smells.
Exactly. So if you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You come down Green Bay to Scott, right there, you'll smell this. You have the smell, and Green Bay Cycle is right over on the left-hand side going south.
We've got 2 restaurants to the right of us and 1 restaurant to the left of us. And in the evening, with the smells coming from all of the kitchens, you go outside and it'll always make you hungry. And I will say the restaurants near us are actually very good. And if you visit the shop, please patronize one of those restaurants. They do a great job. They have really good food. So
again, this is what makes the network go. Larry is here. He'll take care of you. You heard about all things he does With the Rise on Thursdays, he fixed bikes for all different type of people, kids, anybody. And I'm telling you, he's really an oracle at bikes. I've had many questions. I've called him and he will tell me this will not work, and he's right. If he says it's gonna work, it's gonna work. So anything you want to leave us with before we wrap up?
No, that's it. There are all kinds of, just as there's all sorts of people, there's all kind of shops out there, and everybody kind of finds their niche, whether it's fast racer crowd, whether it's strictly kids bikes and entry-level bikes. Other shops may focus on commuter adventure bikes. Other shops may focus on mountain bikes. We try to do a little bit of everything. But really, I would tell you my main focus is families. We have been in the community here for quite a few years. I strive to make sure that not only am I a business in the community, but I'm part of the community.
Great.
We sponsor Little League baseball teams, hockey, all of those things to show that I'm not just here to do business. I'm here to try to make our community better. And that's kind of the story. I would rather spend money supporting the community than spending money on advertising. Word of mouth it's hard to beat.
Good PR, great
Treat
PR.
people well, and they will tell their friends. And that's kind of our way that we operate. Is at the core tenet is treat people the way you want to be treated, and if you do it, everything else will fall into place.
I like that, guys. I hope you guys have learned something from Uncle Larry today. Just again, I can feel. I'm here, and I can feel the passion. I can feel the sincerity. He's real, and again, this is why he's been around for over 24, 25 years, and he's still here.
Yep.
And people still are coming. Since I've been here, a lot of ringing in the background, people coming in, coming out. We came in store hours, but again, this shows you that people are coming, and we have people at Larry Network, guys. Thank you so much for being here, Larry.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And always a pleasure when I come in the shop. It's always feel like I'm home, and he's real. Okay, so again, guys, keep the miles and smiles going. Omar here. Until next time.